a huge victory over Young.
Yeah, and Grubby, he's just on a tear through this entire event. So many Grubby fans really happy to see him. He just guaranteed himself a spot at Anaheim with his top 12 finish here, so even if he loses this, he's going to Anaheim.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been doing really well in PvP. We saw him beat Oz earlier, although, as we've mentioned multiple times, Oz's strongest matchup is clearly not his PvP, but that's not to discount how good Grubby's been doing lately. So to get these players introduced in the lower left-hand corner of the map, playing as the red Protoss, we've got Grubby. And his opponent up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, playing as the blue Protoss. This is Team SCV Life's Inori.
Yeah. This matchup is one that Grubby has excelled in. Not only was Oz bad in the matchup, but Grubby is just so good in this matchup. He was able to defeat Oz 2-0. Grubby has shown just excellent control in this matchup in the past. His decision-making is not always 100% the best, but I feel like he's starting to get a better grasp on it as time goes on, and his micro oftentimes just more than makes up for it. He controls well, he controls the matches, he's great in a base trade if it ever comes down to that. He's great in positioning. So I don't know if I want to say that Grubby's the favorite here, but I think you cannot discount him. Inori, a top player as well. The problem with Inori for PvP is I would argue that it's his worst matchup right now. It may not have been in the past. He actually has no Protoss to practice with at TSL House. He's the only TSL Protoss right now. The only other Protoss they had was Serrano, who, as soon as he joined TSL, had a hand injury and was basically forced to stop playing for a really long time. So Inori's been staying at the house as the only Protoss. He's been able to practice with some other Protosses from other teams, but he doesn't have that comfortable practice partner to work with PvP.
Well, yeah, and having having an injured practice partner doesn't really help your skill advancement a terribly huge amount. And so far, both these players doing the exact same thing. Right now, Grubby's just slightly ahead, ever so slightly ahead on getting out his next probe. I think that, I mean, what that comes down to potentially could be how you split those probes in the beginning. Just
look at the core timing. He made his, Inori made his core looks like just slightly ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
4 seconds. Okay.
He delayed the probe to get the core out like a few seconds earlier.
Is it worth it to delay your probe for 10 seconds to get the core out 4 seconds
in this matchup, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends. Like, I think that might not even necessarily be the reason why, but the warp gate research is so important, and getting your first stalker out is important as well. The probe being out that few seconds early means you get like 5 minutes. A few seconds earlier, is that really important? Not really. And the warp gate research timing can actually change games.
Yeah, and we actually have Grubby using 1 chrono boost onto his warp gate so far. He's also already had both of his gases started up a bit sooner than his opponent. So that means he's going to be slightly ahead in the gas count.
Or rather, will Grubby be able to scout Inori here? He sent his probe to the watchtower. He's hanging out there at the second watchtower. Will he actually be able to come in and scout? He's waited so long. I think the stalker is going to be out by the time he gets there. It's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to see double gases or anything. So Grubby playing this one a little bit blind is rather going to scout by keeping his probe at the watchtower and spotting what's coming. Oh, he got away with hiding that probe in there.
Wow. That got so close.
Oh, Grubby started his Stargate now. If he comes in and scouts this is going to be huge. This is not what Grubby wants to see.
Oh, man. And he sees it. He's seen everything, Wolf.
Yeah. The all-seeing probe there. Now, I've never actually seen Grubby, to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever actually witnessed him go Phoenixes before, so I wonder how he's going to do this. Oh, this is going to be really scary for Grubby. He may pull probes. This also guarantees the Stargate will not be canceled in his eyes. So, like, the Stargate's getting so close to finishing, he won't be able to kill the pylon before, so now he knows it's not canceled.
Right, so he knows that it is going to be coming for sure. And of course, Grubby not willing to get... Wow,
awesome.
Even able to cancel the pylon just shortly before the Stargate finishes up. What fortunate timing for him. And now
it just goes to show how terrible it is to not find that probe in your base. It just changes everything.
And he was so close, too. He walked just in range of it. Although I think that had the probe been attacked, he would have had enough time to kind of scramble and run it down into the base to just see whatever he could. Because you have to get off 4 shots from the Stalker anyway.
Yeah.
And really,
look at you with
like
stats,
this distance here.
Knowing how many shots it takes. Rob, Mr. Blizzard expert over here. But we have...
Thanks, Wolf. that was totally a completely sincere compliment.
No, really, no. It was, man. We do see the engagement going a little bit better here for Inori in some ways. He needs to pull that second Stalker back, though. And I think he could actually use that Zealot to engage a little bit. He's deciding to pull back, though, almost as if he doesn't know what is quite next coming out here. Weird rally on those Stalkers as well. Could have been doing a lot more here. He's going to have to pull back as Grubby's additional Stalkers are now showing up. Needs to pull that one injured Stalker back, and he does. Grubby, though, good control, does not over-target. He will lose one more Stalker, though. And the trade here relatively even, but Inori's Blink is about to finish. That will allow him to chase and target down another Stalker. In fact, he should be able to get both of these with 2 Blinks. Blink is done.
Yeah.
First Blink, get the first one, or at least almost get it.
Oh,
smart
and Grubby.
decision by Grubby.
Yeah, intelligently sacking.
Utilitarian choice there, man. That's what happened. He has sacrificed that Stalker to save the other one.
Now, there is already one Immortal in play. He does have a Phoenix as well, so he's going to be able to mess with Inori's numbers at least a little bit. Oh, man, and you cannot blink while you are in the air.
He needs to pull back. Looks like he really wants to make something happen with that Stalker, but that was a close call.
Yeah, so Grubby's going to actually have 2 Immortals out now. And really, Inori is still pretty far away from even having his Robo facility out. So Inori's in a pretty rough spot, and we've seen this before.
He's desperately trying to expand, yeah. You're right.
I don't know. We always talk about like expanding in PvP and how like risky it is, and like well, when can you actually do it? Now we've got Inori being chased back.
Grubby has just the 1 Phoenix, by the way, which I think is so cool. He made the 1, which is useful for lifts, and he didn't overcommit. So Inori was banking on Phoenix builds.
Wow.
Oh man.
Having a Watchtower and like 2 Immortals already. Wow, getting in another pick. Was that it?
He didn't get away.
No,
it like died mid-blink. It died in cyberspace. Like it was in another dimension when it was taken out there. Nobody knows. Like,
well, we didn't know it, but there's actually like a 0.001% chance when you blink that your Stalker just disappears.
Yeah. That's a good stat, man. You're giving like all these sick stats, dude.
That stat is the sickest. That's a secret stat. Every once in a while, you sneak them in there.
Yeah, man.
People won't know the difference. It's fun.
Nobody had ever even heard that. There's going to be like a news post about that, but robotic support bay going up now for Grubby, who has again just been a step ahead of Inori with his tech, just making the 1 Phoenix, not committing. Now we'll scout what Inori is up to. He's going to see no robotic support bay. Will he see the Warp Prism coming out? That's something important to note as well. If he hangs around, he probably will, but he probably thinks there's an Observer potentially coming out of there, so I don't think he's going to stick around, doesn't want to lose his own.
Well, and we see this, the Observer kill crew kind of floating around.
So you will check the natural.
Oh, wow.
And with Blink, boom.
Oh, man, losing Observers sucks so bad.
Well, with the new build time, it's a little bit less painful, but it's still unfortunate to lose the Observer, especially because you can't change, like, the Observer speed was not changed. It still takes forever to go back across the map.
Right. That's the issue, is getting back over to your opponent's base, because it's not just the build time, right?
Yeah.
And especially because he was already working on a Warp Prism, so that delays it that much further. He actually doesn't even opts not to create another Observer quite yet.
Yeah, he saw what he needed to see, and from here, I think he's just going to continue to bolster his Colossus count and take advantage of that over his opponent. Yeah, the Nexus is up a little bit faster, but it doesn't matter all too much if you can't build up that correct unit composition. In a matchup where the unit composition is everything, Inori losing almost 2 Stalkers there.
Just about. And now he's going to be in a decent position to go ahead and take down these rocks because he wants to start setting up his offensive. We see this forward pylon being placed right behind him.
I don't think Inori can really make this attack work with the amount of Immortals there and with the Colossus coming out. Yeah.
And I mean, there's already 1. And the second one's going to be finished in, what, 40 seconds? Something like that? Yeah,
and
35.
Range is almost done as well. He can't comfortably blink forward. Oh, nice catch, taking a full energy sentry down. We'll get a second unit potentially. Yes.
Oh.
Great control by Grubby. I mean, he's a Warcraft 3 player. Warcraft 3 players known for their control, especially Grubby here. And this is why PvP has been such a good matchup for him. I think he's making another Phoenix right now, which is so cool because it allows him to do so much. It looks like we missed some harassment. That's also going to help him shut this. That's probably why he's making it to shut down that Warp Prism.
Huh. And now he's got another Phoenix out in play, which is going to completely deny that.
Is a really good question because we had totally missed that, but there was just so much going on. I think he probably got some pylons, maybe, considering that Grubby is supply blocked right now. And that's the best thing to target.
That's really unfortunate. We're actually going to look at this replay.
Well, Forge is going down for both players. A second Robo going down for Inori, realizing he is behind in the Colossus count, wants to try to catch up with a double Robo. And if you have 4 gases running, you can actually do double Colossus production. As a result, what will Grubby do? Will he take a 3rd base? Will he also add his own second Robo? These are choices that players have to make, and it looks like he's going to go for the third base. This can work out. It all comes down to timings. Like, it's really weird. It's like, well, Inori's going to have more Colossi at a weird timing. Can he hit before Grubby's third base really pays off? And what is Grubby going to use his third base for? Is he going to try to make 3 Colossi at a time, or is he going to start powering up gateways and going charge Zealot Archon? It looks like Grubby's actually going to attack with his third base. Grubby is actually a superb decision.
Wow, Inori losing 2 Stalkers there. Now we also have Inori going for a bit of a counterattack over here. Once again, using that Warp Prism, opening it up, warping in some units, and also unloading the Immortal. Now there's not enough over here from Grubby to stop this quite yet. And as a matter of fact, his forces are just so far away right now. If we check out Grubby, let's see the cooldowns. Okay. His cooldowns just came up on his Warp Key, but he doesn't have a pylon over here to warp in. Now he gets over there, finishes off the Warp Prism, eventually makes it over.
But he's
really only lost a couple units.
He lost a couple units, but he turned Grubby around. Inori turned Grubby's entire army around at a time where Grubby was moving out with a scary Colossus count. He had range. He had a very, very big army moving out. And now that bought Inori time to use his second robotics to build his Colossus count up to now surpass Grubby. In fact, with these 2 popping out, he's probably going to pass him. And as a result, Grubby is going to have to make something else work here. I love this Phoenix that he made. It helps shut down the Warp Prism, and also is going to grant him some more scouting information of what Inori is up to. I'm going to see the third base. It's timing. He's like, oh, okay, your third's a little bit late, but you have more Colossi than me. Grubby now adding his own second Robo, as well as a second Forge and a Twilight Council. He's going to be, I think, switching things up a little bit, going into that double upgrade scheme with the Twilight Council to get him +2, but also beyond that, he's going to be getting Charge Zealots and Archons, I feel.
And he's also starting to add on his gas over at that third. Now this Nexus is pretty heavily damaged. He doesn't have to attack this for too long to actually remove it from the game.
He has Blink, so he may be able to send a small squad of Blink Stalkers over if he wants to, if he can get away with it, just target that down. He lost a lot of Stalkers, though, in several different engagements, so Stalker
and still
count's
hasn't
not
kept up on it.
Yeah, look at it. It's only at 6 right now. He's going to need at least like 12 to probably really be able to make that work comfortably. The Templar Archives is out a little bit faster for Inori. Inori just a little bit ahead in the tech now because he has a better Colossus count, and he's pushed forward that new tech, the Archons, coming out next, which is something that's going to really supplement his Colossi. What is he going to do next here, though? Will he try to target down the base of Grubby, then get out? A risky choice, but a good one, I feel, on this situation. Charge going down for both players. Grubby a little bit ahead there. Both making double Colossi, and both with +2 on the way. I mean, these players are almost dead even. There are small advantages one way or another that both players have, but it's really going to come down to the control, and that's something that Grubby in the past has shown to be a very strong point for him.
Oh man, Inori's got to be feeling all right about this. He has enough units to hopefully try to hold this, but it still puts him in a weird spot. Like right now, he has that Colossus lead, but it's actually not by much, right? Like
all of this is going to come down to positioning.
Oh wow.
Because
well, yeah.
Now he's 2 more popping out changes things really quick. But see, Grubby's getting 2 out as well, so now it's 8-7. Positioning is going to be everything here. We may see. Oh, that's it. Like right when I was about to say it, you said I was like, we may see Mothership here because both these players are pulling a foreigner PvP. They're just going to not fight each other and keep making Colossi until George Orwell is like, wait a minute, this is my story. Like, what are you guys doing? Or that was actually H.G. Wells, wasn't it? Not George Orwell.
You know what? I couldn't tell you.
Anyway, War of the Worlds.
Okay. So second Stargate being added over there. We don't see no fleet beacon, obviously.
Yeah, as soon as the Stargate is done, he's going to start it, though, I think, and he's going to get that Mothership out.
Well, he already had the 1 Stargate.
Oh, you're right. That might have been like him being like, all right, I need to get the fleet beacon going. It may just be he's going to switch into Void Ray production, which is something that's kind of scary in late game PvP.
Because the battle can last like a pretty significant amount of time.
And there's very few Stalkers out right now. You know, the Archons don't do a ton of anti-air damage because they can't really close the distance on the Void Rays necessarily. They die really quickly since they're on the front lines. Oh man,
he actually has such a small force that can attack air. Only 2 sentries and 6 Stalkers out there.
Yeah.
Oh, this could
Archon Immortal drop, man. That's a really weird thing to have. Like, I guess the Archon kind of protects the Immortal from Zealots, and then if it's Stalkers, then the Immortal does well against
the Archon like gets 1 hit, and then the Immortal like kills things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Lots of
actually a
damage
cool
to
drop,
building.
man. Like, these two make a good duo.
Yeah, I mean, they both have such high HP as well.
Is that a fleet beacon that just got canceled?
Yep.
Yeah.
That must have, right? 225, 150?
Yep, that makes sense. That's exactly the cost there, so... That's
well, minus the 30%.
Right, yeah. It's 300, 200
yeah.
for beacon. And meanwhile, Inori's moving out to attack. Grubby gonna have a better concave and a better defensive position. I think it's a bad idea from Inori, but now he has to commit. He's clumped up on his retreat, and Grubby does not decide to chase. I think that may have been a mistake, because no matter what, when he tries to split his own units and get the concave, he's gonna get some free hits. Grubby continuing with the fleet beacon tech. Back on the production tab, you can see Inori getting his own Stargate very late. Double warp prism, which I think is kind of weird, but we'll see how that plays in here.
So Inori hasn't been working on his shield upgrades at all, whereas Grubby is at 2-2. So if they're at an evenly maxed army, Grubby's going to have a significant advantage there.
Yeah, you're right. Plus with this mothership coming out here, that's going to allow him to vortex, which is so key. And cloaking may come into play as well, depending on how Inori positions his observer. Grubby having these High Templar, which will probably be made into Archons, but they could potentially be used defensively for feedbacking motherships. I know it sounds weird to say, but I mean, that's something he's probably considering.
If you can stop that vortex and get any sort of one-up over your opponent, like, because really that vortex is just too crazy. Oh man, Grubby just about catching that warp prism.
And
it looked like that warp prism was taking a lot of damage really quickly. Oh man, and now the warp prism continues on its tear. Oh, but it's actually stuck here. Now Grubby could just kill the rest of this army. Inori was starting to push over here, but he didn't commit.
He
We didn't see an engagement.
He can't engage that concave. Grubby just has too well positioned. His stalkers are too well positioned.
Also, we've seen another drop out here as well. He's killed at least one stalker over there, and now he continues to push out through the center of the map. Let's take a look at this big battle just about to become, but really neither of them can absolutely commit to this. We've got Grubby. He's got so much energy on those sentries. Of course, all these units are going to be able to crush that. Now back here, lots of extra units being warped into the main.
He's targeting down the Nexus that's making the mothership.
It's not going to be able to finish unless he's able to get these zealots in there.
Distracting him.
Oh, just long enough. The mothership is going to be able to finish. Such a nice play from Grubby. Now, even though that all of those reinforcements were killed, he was still able to get the mothership out. Now, the War of the Worlds, just as you said.
This is a good position for Inori. It looks like he's got the aggressive position. Grubby's Colossi are stacking up a little bit here. Whoever defends against that choke point, like when you move out against the person who's defending, you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle. But Inori has taken a supply lead here. The mothership is out, but it's in the wrong position. Just now is Inori starting his own mothership. He is ripping Grubby's production facilities apart. He's taking out these gateways, and he's not going back to defend this. Why is he not doing that? He needs to get this production back up.
I mean, the issue, like, Grubby doesn't have enough units to go defend his main and defend his fourth.
He cannot do both. He's going to spread himself too thin. Dark Shrine, by the way, going up for Inori. He's making double observers, getting his own mothership out. He's trying to get that out. Grubby finally going in, but at the same time, Inori going for that base and the center when Grubby moves out of position, and Inori just kind of I want to say basically out multitasking Grubby in this game with his drop play. Takes out the
that was
core
really
here.
huge. Staying so active with those warp prisms.
Yeah,
You're like,
double
what's he
warp
going to do with
prism
double warp prism? It was like, wait, well, for 400 minerals, you know, at this point in the game, he can't really go and take an extra base, although
he's
he actually
dumping
has.
a ton of resources. He has so much more money than Grubby that he could just afford to just drop a ton of zealots
and
in
he's
here.
also even established yet another base.
And Grubby trying to engage into that defensive position. His mothership is there. As far as I know, it doesn't have enough energy for a vortex, and it just frankly isn't going to matter at this point, Rob. It's looking like Grubby has just lost too much here.
Oh man, Grubby was looking like he could have been in a fantastic position, and then it was just an unfortunate engagement for him out there in the center. Oh wow. Oh, the Zealots almost
And remember,
able to take out
Grubby
that
has the
Colossus.
better upgrades here too, but he's just not. He doesn't have the unit count that he needs.
Well, yeah, Inori
Inori
did such a good job, right? Like using those warp prisms like that.
Yeah, this is. I mean, he had the extra resources. He put them right where they belonged. He just dropped a ton.
Well, this warp prism has actually been here for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The mid has just died. He tried re-establishing it, but of course he's forced into yet another cancel.
I mean, Inori's playing so safe. He's got 3 observers following this army around just to make sure that Grubby can't use his mothership positionally to really scare him or catch him off guard with that cloaking.
Still continuing.
Yeah, he's just going to kill this Nexus. There's hardly any minerals left anyways, but he just cannot defend with this. And Inori his multitasking outdid Grubby, and then Grubby started to kind of pick things up. That warp
Ooh,
prism,
that
by the
thing
way,
had
with one
1
hit point.
HP.
Oh my god. That's got to be frustrating. Well, this is only game 1 in a best of 3, but Inori played the better game here. There were parts of this game where Grubby was way ahead, but in the end, Inori's multitasking tore him apart. I mean, look at this. He's still continuing to do it. Grubby cannot even produce units. He's lost so many pylons. 120 over 92.
We talk a lot about unexplored portions of StarCraft 2, and really warp prisms are just haven't been used as much as they could. Yeah, and here we have.
Let's watch this, man. Watch all these units come out and die. Archon's going in. Colossi spread on the outside. I don't know. Children, cover your eyes. We're going to watch a bunch of robots with tall legs explode and die. And a counter vortex actually really nicely placed by Grubby, but it's just not going to be enough. His units are dying too soon. He's pushing this back with the mothership. There's no anti-air to deal with the mothership, but watch how this works out. There's just too many units. 177 to 66 flight. Feedbacks Grubby's mothership. GG. A good showing from both players, but again, the multitasking for Inori with that warp prism was too much.
That was really solid from Inori, man. Staying on top of those drops. Now, we missed that first one, but boy, were there plenty to follow.
Yeah. It was just unbelievable. Constantly with the 2 harassing. Grubby could not continue to produce units. He had lost too much of his production. He lost a lot of pylons. He got supply blocked eventually. And then when he came home to defend, Inori was ready in the middle to punish him for that, taking out his Nexus. And then from there, that's when things got out of control, because then Inori had 2,000 minerals to spend constantly, whereas Grubby like barely had enough minerals to survive, and Inori was just like, well, I can make 8 Zealots here and even some DTs to kill your stuff because I have money that I can throw away, but you don't.
And I've already like killed a good chunk of your army in the center. Right, like that was already a bad engagement before that started, where Grubby had just lost too many things, even though that he had superior upgrades and just about an equal Colossus count.
There was a big snowball effect there. Things just got worse and worse and worse for Grubby, but Grubby's opening was actually really good, and he was ahead at certain points of that game. We'll see if he can take Inori out here. He definitely has a chance. He looked good enough in that game. And Grubby's the type of player who doesn't get discouraged easily, so I feel like he's probably going to be sitting in his chair right now going, well, I could have won that game. If I actually just dealt with the harass a little better and didn't mess up that engagement in the middle, I can win this game. I can do this. So I think from here, he's probably going to be feeling pretty comfortable going into the second game.
Well, I mean, he's already, so good at PvP anyway. He can make this happen.
Yeah, he can. And he's got to be feeling great regardless. Remember, I mentioned this earlier, but he is going to be able to go to the championship in Anaheim. We don't have our next game quite ready just yet. Looks like the players are still setting up. But this next game, I don't even know what the map is going to be on, to be honest with you guys, just yet. That could change a lot of things.
Well, okay, so as Grubby, what do you want in a PvP? You've got potentially only one map left, right? This could be your last chance at getting into the money, because I think money is top 8.
Yeah, top 8 is money, and you're right. If he messes up here, he doesn't get the money, just gets the championship position, which again is really important. But it's not even about just necessarily the money; it's about the pride. I got top 8 at this event. I can say that. I can tell people that. Grubby is a top-notch pro gamer. He's struggled in the past. He's been getting into commentary a little bit as well, but to be able to say, yeah, I beat all these Koreans. He's already taken out some Koreans. He's going to take out potentially another one here.
Well, like he beat Ryung and Oz.
Yeah. So, he even did well in his match against Dong Rae-gu. So, oh, that was actually Sokka. Sorry,
Violet.
I'm sorry. Violet. There's so many different matches at this event. Like so much content. I'm like starting to bleed them all together here. But
yeah, Violet. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're on top of stuff, Rob, man.
Well, it's like I think I've casted almost 100% of Grubby's games, so it's like, ask me anything about his storyline at this event.
Yeah, man, you are the Grubby expert. The map is going to be Cloud Kingdom here, so the players are almost ready. As far as I know, with the maps in this event, it's veto system, so Grubby doesn't necessarily get to pick this map.
Well, I think you veto down to game 1, and I want to say that higher seed gets the final veto, so they effectively pick map 1.
Ah, right. Okay.
And then I think that the second to last was map 2, and then they pick whatever was third to last.
Okay.
I don't, because I think that they threw the loser picks out of the window. Because otherwise, if the top seed loses the first game, he actually got to pick 2 maps in the series.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? Okay. Well, the players are pretty much
just about
here.
good to go. Yeah,
I think so.
It is going to be on Cloud Kingdom here in game number 2.
Yeah, can Grubby pull this back? I mean, he definitely showed in that first game that he is capable of beating this Protoss. Just ask him if he's ready in chat, and then we are going to go into this game. And Inori looking very strong, though. His later game seemed to be better. His multitasking, his harassment. I mean, you hardly ever see this type of harassment in PvP. You see this in a matchup like TVP, for example. But it's like you can see Koreans oftentimes just showing the better multitasking, especially Koreans who are Brood War players rather than Grubby, who's a Warcraft 3 player. Grubby showing the better engagements, and Inori showing the better multitasking. We'll see if that ends up happening again here, or if Grubby, if he just does a few little things like making some cannons or killing that Warp Prism that's in his main, he can defend this type of harassment and take a lead.
Man, you know, it makes you wonder, like, he saw that first drop him in there, and you know, you always think about, well, where do you put cannons, right?
Yeah, he even started to make some, but they were just killed because he just never stopped warping in the Zealots.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was also like right next to the Nexus, right? The problem before the Zealots are on the ground is the Warp Prism. Like,
the
if you just have
Archon
one
Immortal drop, like,
there.
killed the cannon, like, right away, because Immortal does a lot of damage to the cannon. That was really cool. That was actually my favorite part, where you just, like, sent one Archon and one Immortal, and I was like, well, that's
and then
a really
opens
cool
up
drop.
the Phase Prism. Old names. Opens up the Warp Prism. And
into phase mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was what they changed.
Yeah, transport mode or phase mode. 2 different names for it.
Because there were phase prisms in, like, the...
Yeah, that's what they
early
used to be
ones,
called, yeah. Phase cannon as well, man. I remember that.
Oh. But yeah, turning it